Hey guys, the Black Critic Guy. I know, two Black Critic Guy videos in the span of a week? It must be a Christmas miracle if it wasn't already January. Anywho, you read the title. I saw the leak for what I'm assuming is the first episode of the second season or the revival season of Clone High, and I thought I'd share my thoughts about it because it's kind of blowing up on Twitter. There were a lot of mixed reactions, and I'm not gonna lie, watching it initially, my genuine reaction is, oh God, no. Oh, please, God, no. Don't tell me this is what they're gonna do. But I sat and I actually reflected a little bit, and I actually thought back to the old series, and I did read other comments about the old series and what people had to say, and I thought they all made some great points. And then I thought back about the episode, and I'm like, okay, this episode's actually not that bad. Is it great? No, no, it's not great. It's not like mind blowing. I would still say the original series supersedes it as of now with just one episode in, but it does have potential. It truly does. So the premise of this episode is basically they unfreeze a majority of the characters. Don't worry, we'll get to the one that wasn't frozen yet. But they unfreeze a majority of the characters. They let them know that 20 years has gone by. They basically give them a recap of what they have missed. Also, they inform them that they worked on some new clones while they were frozen that are now their age, which, funny enough, the clones were made in 2007. All the students that I teach, born in 2007. So, very apt. And it's basically Abe, Joan, JFK, and to some degree Cleopatra kind of being reacclimated to this new world, and some succeeding, others not so much. I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw it, I was like, eh, they might have lost a step here with this new series because I'm not really feeling this new direction. When I saw Freya and I saw Harriet Tubman, I'm like, God damn it. God damn it again with this inclusivity crowd, and oh, we gotta give them crazy hair and unique hair, like a new unique style that makes them look like a hipster. I'm like, fuck, oh man, here we go again. But I actually sat and I actually thought about it. I'm like, outside of Harriet Tubman, because I actually saw the original picture of Harriet Tubman. Now she looked great, although the look they gave her is very early 2000s, like very Beyonce, Maya kind of look. I would say that the new Harriet Tubman is more in line with what a hipster black woman would be today, or at least a in the crowd kind of black woman would be today. I don't know the phrasing I want to use for that. But basically, I see what they were going for. But one of the most ingenious, I don't know, I have not actually seen anybody comment about this yet. They were pretty witty about what they were doing with this episode and those characters and the message that it was pushing. Because if you remember, or not if you remember, but if you saw the leak, there was a scene that really spoke volumes that actually kind of made me chuckle and thought to myself, okay, the show might actually have potential. It's where Joan goes to the inclusivity crowd, and I noticed that it had the red velvet lines, those things that you see like for movie premieres and stuff. Like, and then there's a guard standing by the inclusivity committee area, and it actually made me smile and chuckle because I was like, "Oh, I get it. I I get it. This inclusivity crowd is actually the very thing that they are ridiculing." Okay, let me say that more coherently. They're mocking the fact that the inclusivity club, in and of itself, is an exclusive club that a lot of people do not get to be a part of. And that's the joke. I know I kind of ruined it by explaining what the joke is, but the thing is, I feel like some people didn't recognize that that was the joke that the show is making. They're ridiculing these people for preaching about inclusivity. However, they exclude so many people who have their own thoughts and opinions and their own ways of acting. I thought that was kind of brilliant. And they did it in such a subtle way. They didn't like, and for a show like Clone High that isn't really known for its subtlety, that type of subtle writing I actually truly appreciated. I know the original series had kind of hints of subtle writing, not much. I mean, this is back when Phil Lord and Chris Miller were not as good of writers as they are today. So you really see they've grown in their style. I commend them immensely. To my point, that one moment, that one scene, that little thing right there showed me that there's actually potential in this show. There might actually be some caveat of some good storytelling, maybe some solid writing that maybe we should give it a chance, like everyone is saying. And I am willing to look. Some of you may know this already because I actually did a review for Clone High many years ago. I think it's been a decade. Maybe 2013, 2004. No, it had to have been 2013. So yeah, it's practically a decade since I reviewed Clone High. And I loved the show. I loved what it was. I loved what they did. I thought it was really hilarious and funny. It was a solid show. I still watch the original Clone High to this day, and it still makes me laugh. That whole makeover thing, it's hilarious. Like I was actually, before I was recording this video, I remember the scene where Gandhi is trying to teach George Washington Carver how to be cool. He's like, no, you have to say it like this. Say what? And then George Washington Carver goes, say what? Say what? Say what? Say what? See, there's so many memorable things about the original Clone High. And I think this new series, this revival, has a chance to actually be great. I kind of see where they're going with this, and I am excited to see where they're going further. That glass ceiling joke, by the way, is hilarious. they took a well, I forgot the word I was looking for, but basically they turned it into a legit like glass ceiling. There's this growing rivalry between Principal Scudsworth, the original principal, and this one lady that is part of that evil organization that originally made the clones, and they hired her basically to like revive the school, right? And they have to work together, or I guess he's like under her, and she's trying to break through the glass ceiling and literally put in a glass ceiling between the two of them, which I think is hilarious. This whole Scudsworth versus this new woman that loves reptiles, I am very excited to see what direction they're going with this, because the potential for comedy and the potential for interesting scenarios between these two, it's there. I see the potential, and I'm excited for that. Honestly, like it looks promising. This idea of JFK kind of being seen as this inclusive kind of person is actually kind of funny when you think about it, because real JFK probably would have been canceled if he lived in this era. But the idea that he actually is accepted by the inclusivity crowd instead of being canceled, I thought was actually kind of funny. People are like really rooting for the whole Joe x JFK. I'm not gonna lie, that's something I'm not all for. I don't. I see what I see what again. I see what they were doing with this, because it's like the first episode of the first series where Abe is hopelessly in love with a girl that is not recognizing him, and now he has to try to find a way to convince her to love him. Like, that was the first series where he tried to convince Cleo, who also at the time was dating JFK, that he was the better choice. So they just retooled that same plot line, but instead they switched out Cleo for Joe. And by the way, may I add that the way they handled Cleo in this episode, I actually really liked. She was kind of put in her place, and she kind of realizes that she's not the center of attention like she used to be. So her just losing her mind and freaking the fuck out, that whole scene where she's just like torturing herself was a bit macabre, but I also kind of found it hilarious because she's like, okay, well, I honestly don't fit in this new scenario, so I'm just gonna walk my ass out of here and call me when you need me, kind of thing. I like that. Um, I'm not too fond about what they did with Joe. Joe was a much more funnier character, a much more interesting character when she was the support instead of being kind of in the center of the story. Like, okay, one of the best episodes of Clone High is where she wanted to join the basketball team, but for some reason, Principal Scudsworth did not want women in the basketball team, so she dresses up as a man by just wearing a mustache. That is the no, that's the second best episode. The best episode is the one where the pusher, remember the pusher? That's the best. That's the best Clone High episode. But the second one is where Joan becomes John, John which is the original name of Joan of Arc. Again, some of the subtle jokes of Clone High are not fully appreciated, and it's ingenious. I loved it. Anywho, I'm not too fond about what they're doing with Joan. So far, from what I've seen, she's not as likable as she is, nor is she as interesting as she was. She's kind of, by making her fit the Cleo role, excuse me, by making her fit the Cleo role, she's kind of lost a bit of her edge. Figuratively and literally. Some of the comments I saw on Twitter were about how they rounded out her head, and I noticed that. I was like, there's something different about the character design of Joe that I'm not sure what it is. And then I look closely, I'm like, wait, why is the edge of her head not like showing? Because usually there's an edge to her head, but now it's covered with hair. So they rounded out her head. A lot of people are kind of mad about what they did with Abraham Lincoln's character, ostracizing him, making him look like a big jerk. But again, this goes back to if you're a real fan of Clone High, then you would know that in the original show, Abe Lincoln was kind of an asshole. He was kind of a jerk. Not just to Joan, but just the way that he approached things. He was very narrow-minded, one-track minded, oblivious, kind of a jerk to a lot of his friends. That's his mentality, and that was his character. That's why, usually things didn't really end well for him. I mean, even in the last few episodes where he kind of led Joan on, making her think that, oh, I might like you, but not truly, and then she opens up to her, and again, complete dick in the original series. And I like that they kind of carried that on where he is still oblivious. He hasn't really caught on to what life is like in this new world where he says things that you can't say anymore. Like he uses words like retarded and gay, but in the 2000 sense, not in the 2020 sense, which gets him into a lot of hot water and hot sauce. If you've seen the leaks, you know what I'm talking about. So, yeah. I don't think that his character was. A lot of people thought he was Flanderized. No, watch the original series. He was just like this as well. Oblivious, stupid, and one-track minded. He was always like that. And he was kind of a jerk. So maybe in this series, maybe they can try to redeem him or make him a much more likable character in a sense. I hope so. I don't know. We'll see. Some of the new inclusions I didn't really care for. Oh man, I'm like the fact I think that's Donald Faison voicing George Washington Carver again, which I'm so glad that they're bringing back some of the original voice actors. I hope a majority of them come back. But some of the new characters that they added, like Confucius, he's the one that I'm the most torn about because I don't like it. I get what they were trying to do with him. Like he's the hipster, kind of connecting with one's emotions, and his way of thinking is through social media and stuff. But I'm not rolling with this character as of his first appearance. Not feeling it. So, but let's get to the big thing that a lot of people are talking about. Where's Gandhi? So they make it a blatant point not to bring Gandhi back. here in the first episode. The opening scene where Abe is talking and he's staring at Joan from a distance, and you see like this rounded head that looks like Gandhi's head. He's like, "Oh man, Gandhi, there she is. There's Joan." And then it zooms out, and he's talking to a piece of chicken. By the way, what is with chicken and Abraham Lincoln all of a sudden? Like that was a running gag in this episode. He kept thinking about chicken. Did I miss that from the original series? I don't remember that in the original series. But beside the point, they make it a blatant. They make it very blatant that they're not trying to bring back Gandhi. Uh, and to those people who are saying, "Hey, we need to bring back Gandhi," that's not fair. Screw them being politically correct. Or they need to bring back Gandhi. Excuse me, I'm sick. I actually got COVID, by the way. Anywho, I hate to talk casually about it, but it is what it is. Anywho, to those of you who want to forget what the controversy was about Gandhi in the original show, a lot of excuse me, a lot of Indians did not like the depiction of Gandhi in the original Clone High. The inclusion of Gandhi in the original Clone High is probably one of the things that got it into a lot of heat and got it canceled, because Gandhi's depiction was so controversial and so insulting to a lot of Indians that they were like, "Hey, what the fuck is this shit?" So the idea that there was no controversy surrounding Gandhi's character in the original Clone High is a lie. It's a lie. There was a lot of controversy. They got into a lot of trouble. Not to mention that if they were to bring back Gandhi, they would bring back the original voice actor, who, guess what, guys, was a white guy. It's the Apu thing all over again. You can't do that in 2023. You're gonna get in trouble for that shit. If you were to bring back Gandhi, you'd have to cast him as an Indian. You have to find someone that's Indian to voice him. Let's be real. They would have to. They can't bring back the original guy, which really sucks because I did like the original guy. He was really cool. In fact, he was a very underrated comedian who was part of Mad TV a long time ago. Point being, this first episode is not bad. I mean, there are some things I wasn't a fan of. There wasn't a lot of good jokes. That's another problem I had. A lot of great humorous situations. Not a lot of good jokes. I remember the show being a lot funnier than what this first episode gave the impression of. But to be fair, the first episode of Clone High, the original series, also wasn't that funny. And I remember that episode. The funniest thing in the first episode, in my opinion, was the whole kidney joke where they made Michael J. Fox voice one of Abraham Lincoln's kidneys. That was the joke. Like, "Oh, I lost the kidney. Oh, I miss him already." That's the only line he says. So this show has potential to be pretty good. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, again, they have a lot of potential. We'll see where it goes. I'll give it a chance. You should give it a chance. Anywho, those are my thoughts. Sorry, it took almost 20 minutes to express all those thoughts, and I was coughing. Just thought I'd share quick thoughts, or my thoughts, I should say. But let me know what you guys thought about the leaks of Clone High episode 1 of the revival. If you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, then I guess you'll just wait till it comes out on HBO Max. It's somewhere out there on the internet. I'm not gonna link to it because I'm not gonna be that guy. If you happen to stumble upon it, then good for you. I happened to stumble upon it and I watched it. So if you stumble upon it and watch it, do let me know what you thought, your first impressions. Anywho, I'm gonna go try to get over this sickness so I could go back to work. I'm stuck here now for a week. So thanks for watching, and hopefully I won't disappear for another month and a half. Till then, peace, YouTube.